They told you that focus is about discipline. But the truth is, focus is about survival. In a world where distractions scream for your attention every second, your ability to focus is the difference between moving forward and standing still. And right now, if you're honest with yourself, you know your focus is slipping. You start something and within minutes you're scrolling. You sit down to work and suddenly your mind is wandering. You've been telling yourself, I'll fix it tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. 7 days from now could be the day everything changes if you decide to take control today. Think about it. The most powerful people in history weren't always the smartest. They weren't always the most talented, but they mastered the ability to put their mind where it needed to be and keep it there until the job was done. They didn't allow their thoughts to scatter like seeds in the wind. They aimed them like arrows. And in the next week, you can start training your mind to do the same. Focus is a muscle you must train, not a switch you can flip. Most people treat focus like it's something you can just decide to have whenever you need it, as if your mind is a light bulb you can simply turn on. But the truth is, focus doesn't work that way. Your ability to concentrate is a skill, and like any skill, it takes deliberate training to strengthen it. Right now, you might be struggling to stay locked in on a task for more than a few minutes without reaching for your phone or opening a new tab. That's not because you're lazy or incapable. It's because your mind has been conditioned to expect constant stimulation. Every time you give in to a distraction, you're reinforcing that habit. You're teaching your brain that it doesn't have to work through discomfort, that it can always escape into something easier. Over time, this weakens your ability to sustain attention, just like neglecting exercise weakens your muscles. When you start viewing focus as a muscle, you also begin to understand why it feels hard to maintain at first. Imagine someone who hasn't worked out in years suddenly deciding to run a marathon. Their body isn't prepared for that kind of endurance. In the same way, if you've been living in a constant state of digital noise and mental multitasking, your brain isn't prepared to go into deep work for hours on end. That's why the first step in building focus is not expecting yourself to instantly sustain it for long periods, but instead starting small and gradually increasing the load. You might begin with short intervals of focused work, 10 minutes, then 15, then 30. Each time you push yourself a little further, you're training your brain to hold attention longer. Just like adding more weight to a barbell strengthens your muscles over time. And training focus also requires resistance. If you only work when you feel inspired or when it's easy, you're not actually growing. It's in the moments when your mind starts to wander, when you feel that itch to check your messages, that the real training happens. Every time you resist the urge to break your concentration, you're doing a mental rep. At first, those reps feel uncomfortable, even frustrating, but they are exactly what's building your focus muscle. Over time, you'll notice that you can enter that state of deep concentration faster, and distractions that once pulled you away without effort will barely make a dent in your attention. The other key part of this training is recovery. Just like physical muscles need rest between workouts to grow stronger, your mind needs breaks to stay sharp. This doesn't mean numbing out with mindless scrolling, because that actually weakens focus. It means intentional rest. Stepping away from your work to take a walk, meditate, or sit in silence allows your brain to reset. When you return, your mind is more prepared to lock in again, and those periods of focus become even more productive. If you approach your attention like a bodybuilder approaches strength training, with consistency, patience, and progressive overload, you'll transform how your mind works. You'll stop seeing focus as something that comes and goes unpredictably and start experiencing it as something you have control over. You'll become capable of going deep into a task without the constant pull of distraction. And once you've built that kind of mental strength, it becomes one of the most valuable assets in your life. It's the difference between drifting aimlessly and driving toward your goals with precision. Focus is not a gift some people are born with, it's a muscle. And starting today, you can train it to be unshakable. Protect the first hour of your day as sacred time. The way you begin your morning determines the tone for your entire day. For most people, the first thing they do when they wake up is reach for their phone. Before their feet even touch the floor, they're checking messages, scrolling social media, reading headlines, and letting the outside world decide what fills their mind. Without realizing it, they've already surrendered their focus. Their brain is now in reactive mode, chasing whatever comes next instead of moving with intent. That single choice to let the world in before you've even met yourself can sabotage your productivity, your clarity, and your ability to focus for the rest of the day. When you protect the first hour of your day as sacred time, you're telling yourself and the world that you are in control of your attention. This hour is not for answering emails, replying to notifications, or drowning in other people's opinions. It's for setting your own direction. Think of your mind in the morning as fresh snow. Whatever tracks you make first are the ones that will guide the rest of your day. If those tracks are filled with chaos, noise, and reaction, your whole day will follow that path. But if they're filled with intention, focus, and clarity, you'll carry that energy forward into everything you do. This sacred hour doesn't have to look the same for everyone, but it must have one common element: intentional control. For some, it might start with journaling, mapping out priorities for the day, or reflecting on long-term goals. For others, it could mean reading something inspiring, meditating, exercising, or sitting quietly with their thoughts. The activity matters less than the fact that it's purposeful and free from outside distractions. So the point is to take ownership of your mental space before anything else has the chance to claim it. When you first begin this practice, it might feel uncomfortable. You may even feel the urge to check your phone, as if you're missing something important. That's just your brain craving the quick dopamine hit it's used to getting from notifications. But when you resist, you start retraining your mind. You teach yourself that you don't need to react to every ping, every buzz, or every headline. You learn to let the world wait until you've fortified your own mindset. The benefits of protecting your first hour compound over time. You'll notice you're more decisive throughout the day because your mind isn't already cluttered with random inputs. You'll find it easier to focus on deep work because you started the day in a state of concentration, not chaos. Your mood will stabilize because you're not letting negative news or meaningless comparisons set your emotional tone before you've even had breakfast. And perhaps most importantly, you'll begin to feel a stronger sense of self-control. When you start your day by controlling your environment and your mind, you reinforce the belief that you're capable of directing your life rather than drifting through it. It's easy to dismiss the first hour of the day as just another 60 minutes, but it's not. It's the foundation of your mental state. Just like a building's strength depends on the quality of its base, your day's success depends on how you set it up. Protecting that first hour is not about luxury, it's about discipline. It's about building a mental shield before you step into the battlefield of distractions. And once you've experienced the clarity and control it gives you, you'll never want to start a day any other way. Eliminate mental junk food and replace it with mental nourishment. Your mind is shaped by what you feed it every single day. Just like your body reacts to the quality of the food you eat, your brain reacts to the quality of the information, conversations, and content you consume. If you fill your body with processed sugar and unhealthy fats, it becomes sluggish, unfocused, and prone to breakdowns. The same thing happens to your mind when you fill it with shallow, meaningless, or toxic input. It becomes scattered, anxious, and unable to hold attention for long. Most people don't realize it, but they're starving their brain of true nourishment while overloading it with mental junk food. The endless social media scroll, gossip, negative news, and random entertainment might feel harmless in small doses, but over time, they weaken your ability to think deeply, solve problems, and stay present. The reason mental junk food is so dangerous is because it gives you a quick dopamine rush without requiring any real effort. Your brain loves it in the moment because it's easy and stimulating, but it comes with no lasting benefit. Instead of building mental endurance, it shortens your attention span. Instead of helping you grow, it keeps you entertained but empty. And the more you consume it, the harder it becomes to enjoy the slow, rewarding process of deep thinking. The mind starts craving quick hits of distraction the way a sugar addict craves candy. It stops functioning well without them. Replacing mental junk food with mental nourishment is not about cutting yourself off from the world entirely. It's about becoming intentional with what you allow in. Mental nourishment is anything that strengthens your thinking, sharpens your perspective, and inspires meaningful action. It can be a thought-provoking book, a challenging conversation, a podcast that expands your understanding, a documentary that sparks curiosity, or even quiet reflection where your own ideas can surface. Unlike junk content, mental nourishment doesn't just entertain you, it equips you. It leaves you with something of value long after the moment has passed. Making this shift requires awareness first. You have to start noticing what you're feeding your mind throughout the day. How much of your screen time is adding value and how much is just filling space? How many conversations are uplifting and how many are pulling you into negativity? How often are you seeking knowledge and how often are you just seeking distraction? Once you see the patterns, you can begin to change them. Start by reducing the time you spend on low-value mental input. If you scroll for an hour, cut it to 30 minutes. If you're glued to the news cycle, limit it to a quick summary rather than an endless stream. Then intentionally fill that freed up time with higher quality input. Read a chapter of a book instead of scrolling. Listen to an educational podcast while commuting instead of random noise. Spend a few minutes journaling or brainstorming instead of reacting to notifications. Over time, your brain will adapt, and the things that once felt boring, like reading, reflecting, or having deep conversations, will become engaging again. The transformation is subtle at first, but powerful over time. As your mental diet improves, you'll find it easier to focus because your mind isn't bloated with useless clutter. You'll start making better decisions because you're thinking more clearly. Your creativity will grow because you're feeding your brain with raw materials it can use to form new ideas. And most importantly, you'll feel more in control of your attention because you're no longer letting meaningless noise dominate your mental space. What you consume mentally is shaping who you are becoming. If you want a sharper, stronger, more focused mind, you must feed it like it matters, because it does. Expect resistance and push through it. Anytime you try to break an old habit or build a new one, your mind and body will fight back. It's not because you're weak or incapable, it's because your brain is wired for comfort and familiarity. When you start improving your focus, you're disrupting patterns you've been living with for years. You're taking away the quick dopamine hits from constant distractions and replacing them with the slower, more demanding process of deep concentration. And at first, this feels uncomfortable, even frustrating, and your brain will try to pull you back to what's easy. This is resistance, and it's the exact point where most people quit. They assume the discomfort means they're doing something wrong, when in reality, it's a sign they're doing exactly what they should be doing. Around the fourth day of trying to improve your focus, you'll often feel this resistance the strongest. The first couple of days are fueled by motivation and excitement. You're trying something new and it feels fresh. But then the novelty fades and the reality of the work sets in. Your phone will seem more tempting than usual, your mind will wander more easily, and you'll start justifying small breaks that slowly lead you back into your old habits. This is not failure, it's the growth process. Just like lifting weights makes your muscles burn, training your focus makes your mind resist before it adapts. The key to overcoming this is to expect it before it happens. If you know resistance is coming, you won't be surprised or discouraged when it shows up. You'll recognize it for what it is. A test. Every time you push through that test, you're teaching your brain a powerful lesson that it can survive without giving in to the craving for instant gratification. The more you prove this to yourself, the weaker those cravings become over time. Pushing through resistance doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It's not about locking yourself in a room for hours with zero breaks. It's about building the mental toughness to stay in control when the urge to quit arises. You can use small strategies to make it easier. For example, when you feel your attention slipping, Set a short timer and commit to staying focused for just 5 more minutes. Often, once you get past that initial wave of discomfort, your mind will settle back into the task. Another strategy is to change your environment. If your usual space is full of distractions, move somewhere that naturally supports focus. Sometimes just getting up and relocating can reset your brain. It's also important to remember that resistance isn't just mental, it's physical. When your brain is used to constant stimulation, removing that stimulation can trigger restlessness, even mild anxiety. You might find yourself fidgeting, tapping your fingers, or feeling the urge to get up and do something else. This is withdrawal from the constant feed of information you've been giving your mind. The best way to deal with it is to stay grounded, take deep breaths, slow down your movements, and remind yourself why you're doing this. The moment you push through resistance, something powerful happens. You build trust with yourself. You prove that you can keep going even when it's uncomfortable, and that trust compounds. The next time resistance shows up, you'll remember that you've beaten it before, and it will feel less intimidating. Over time, the moments of discomfort will shrink, and your ability to stay focused will grow stronger. What was once a constant uphill battle will start to feel natural. Resistance is not the enemy, it's the doorway to transformation. If you stop at the doorway, you'll never see what's on the other side. But if you push through, you'll enter a new level of control over your mind that most people never experience. Design your environment to eliminate distractions. Your surroundings are shaping your focus more than you realize. Most people try to rely on sheer willpower to stay concentrated, but willpower is a limited resource. No matter how disciplined you think you are, if your environment is full of distractions, your attention will eventually slip. The most successful and focused people don't depend on constant self-control. They design their environment in a way that makes focus the default choice. If you make it easy to get distracted, you will. If you make it hard to get distracted, you won't need to fight yourself as much. That's why changing your physical and digital spaces can have a huge impact on your ability to stay locked in on what matters. Start by looking at your physical workspace. If your desk is cluttered with random papers, gadgets, and open items that have nothing to do with your current task, your brain will pick up on each one as a potential mental tab to open. Even if you're not consciously thinking about them, they're using up space in your working memory. A clean, organized workspace tells your brain exactly what deserves attention. Keep only what's necessary for the task at hand in front of you. Everything else should be out of sight until it's needed. Your environment also includes the placement of distractions. If your phone is sitting face up right next to you, you're far more likely to check it without thinking. Moving it to another room or placing it in a drawer makes it less tempting. The same goes for anything else that pulls you away from your priorities. TV remotes, gaming consoles, open browsers with unrelated tabs. Out of sight really does mean out of mind when it comes to focus. And then there's your digital environment. Most people underestimate how many hidden distractions are baked into their devices. Every notification, pop-up, or app badge is a tiny tug at your attention. Even if you don't respond to it right away, your mind has already shifted focus for a moment. Turn off unnecessary notifications, remove apps that waste your time, and set your phone or computer to do not disturb mode during deep work periods. Create digital boundaries the same way you create physical ones. Another powerful part of designing your environment is setting up cues for focus. Your brain associates certain sights, sounds, and even smells with specific activities. If you always work in the same spot, wear the same pair of headphones, or light a certain candle when it's time to focus, your brain will start to recognize those cues as signals to enter concentration mode. Over time, you'll be able to drop into focus faster just by activating those environmental triggers. At the end of each day, prepare your space for the next one. Clear off your desk, put away any tools or notes you're done with, and set out the materials for your top priorities tomorrow. This creates a smooth transition into the next day's work and eliminates the mental friction of figuring out where to start. When you walk into a ready-made environment, you're more likely to dive straight into deep work rather than waste time organizing or procrastinating. Your environment should work for you, not against you. When you intentionally design it to remove friction, minimize temptation, and encourage focus, you won't need to rely as heavily on self-control. Instead of constantly resisting distractions, you'll be operating in a space where distractions simply don't exist in your immediate reach. And when you combine a well-designed environment with the mental discipline you're building, you create a powerful system for sustained focus that can carry you far beyond just 7 days of improvement. It can become your permanent way of working and living. Your focus is your future. Guard it ruthlessly. Everything you want to achieve in life, whether it's building a business, mastering a skill, creating art, or improving your health, requires focus. Without it, you drift from one distraction to the next, always busy but rarely making meaningful progress. The hard truth is that the world is constantly trying to steal your attention. Every advertisement, every notification, every piece of breaking news, every app on your phone, they're all designed to pull your mind away from what truly matters to you. If you don't protect your focus like it's the most valuable thing you own, it will be taken from you bit by bit until you no longer control where your time and energy go. Guarding your focus isn't just about productivity, it's about protecting the life you're trying to build. When you treat your focus as sacred, you begin filtering every decision through a simple question. Does this strengthen my focus or weaken it? This question becomes a compass, guiding you away from things that drain your energy and toward things that sharpen your mind. Most people don't realize that every small choice adds up. Checking your phone during work, saying yes to unnecessary meetings, surrounding yourself with negative conversations, all of these tiny leaks eventually sink the ship. But when you guard your focus, you start plugging those leaks before they can do real damage. Guarding your focus ruthlessly means setting boundaries without apology. It means turning down invitations when they pull you away from your priorities. It means telling people you're unavailable during certain hours and actually sticking to it. It means removing toxic influences from your life, whether they come from people, environments, or habits. These boundaries may make others uncomfortable, but you're not here to make everyone happy. You're here to protect the future you're building. It also means being intentional about what you let into your mind, the books you read, the media you consume, the conversations you have. These shape your thinking, and your thinking shapes your results. If you fill your mind with noise, you can't expect clarity. If you surround yourself with people who lack discipline, you'll find it harder to maintain your own. Guarding your focus means curating your mental environment as carefully as you curate your physical one. One of the most important parts of protecting your focus is learning to say no, not just to other people, but to yourself. You'll often feel the urge to break concentration for something easier, more entertaining, or instantly rewarding. This is where self-discipline comes in. Every time you say no to that urge, you're proving to yourself that you value your future more than you value momentary comfort. And that's the kind of mindset that builds extraordinary results over time. The truth is, the world won't help you protect your focus. It will do the opposite. That's why you must take full responsibility for it. No one is going to clear the distractions for you, organize your priorities, or keep your mind sharp. That's your job. And if you do it well, the payoff is massive. When your focus is strong, you can achieve more in 1 hour than most people achieve in a full day. You make faster progress toward your goals because your energy isn't scattered. You start seeing results that others think are impossible, not because you're more talented, but because you're more concentrated. Your focus is the steering wheel of your life. Wherever it points, your future will follow. Guard it as if your dreams depend on it, because they do. If you give it away carelessly, you'll wake up years from now wondering why nothing has changed. But if you protect it with everything you have, you'll create a life that's not only productive, but deeply fulfilling.